Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento. And also, as always, I'm so excited about this Featured Friday interview because I am joined by an incredible guest. His name is Justin Golden. I've had the chance to talk with this guy before our recording here today. And he's just so awesome at what he does. He's got awesome energy. And most importantly for you, you're going to learn so much from him because he's an incredible PPC, pay-per-click advertiser. You're going to learn all about Justin's story as well as get insights into his brilliance and expertise when it comes to all things marketing and advertising. Just to tell you a little bit about Justin, before starting his own business, he managed $2 million in annual ad spend as a digital marketing director at the corporate level. He also worked as a paid media specialist at a marketing agency, both of those in Houston, Texas, although he doesn't live there anymore. He's coming to us from the cold of Kansas City here today. Those of you watching on video, you'll see he's all bundled up. He took lessons from both experiences, combined them with his ideas and energy, and built his current agency, That PPC Guy. And that's why when we came across Justin's work, That PPC Guy, we knew we had to have him on the show. That PPC Guy is a Google partner managing over $300,000 a month in ad spend. So this guy is not just looking at theory, he is actually in the trenches running ads, gaining data, gaining insights, testing things out. He utilizes search, shopping, display, and YouTube for his clients. I'm so excited for my interview today with Justin Golden. All right, Justin, officially welcome to the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast.
Thank you, Brian. Super excited. That was a great intro, man. Now I'm even more excited than I was before, but thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. That's always my goal with the bios is to like build that hype up. Not only so that my audience is hyped about you, but I want you to know how excited I am to chat with you here today. But I do want you to fill in those gaps. When people ask you, Justin, who are you? What do you do? What's your answer there?
Oh, man. Oh, a loaded question, right? I think the 30,000 foot view is I'm a Google ad manager. We manage Google ads for a lot of businesses across the country, a lot of franchise car dealerships, a lot of home related service businesses like roofers and gutters and exterior painting, as well as a lot of e-commerce brands. So we use all the Google toolkits. We use YouTube display, retargeting. We do a lot of search and of course shopping ads as well for our e-commerce brands. So I've been a Google partner for a couple of years now and absolutely love Google Ads. Actually, I've been working with Google Ads now for over 13 years, which makes me feel a little old.
Man, oh man, just in that one quick answer, you gave me so many topics that I'm itching to jump into with you here today. I want to ask you this question up front because as a fellow marketing junkie myself, I know that you genuinely enjoy all of these marketing things. I want to ask you the big elephant in the room. Why Google Ads? I feel like Facebook ads have stolen
Yeah.
so much of the thunder over the past few years. Talk to us about why the heck you're operating on Google.
Yeah, it really has. Social really did take the thunder away from search for several years. In fact, I remember when Google Ads was really the hot platform to be on, then Facebook came, and then Instagram, and Google Ads really took a backseat to those platforms. A lot of small businesses found tremendous success on social ads. I never jumped on the bandwagon, which ended up being a positive thing. After iOS 14, I saw a lot of businesses come ask me about Google Ads, and really Google has come back full force, I think, just in the last 2 years. We get a lot of inquiries from businesses who haven't seen quite the success they did on the side of social. But the reason I absolutely love Google Ads is that its search platform is based on intent. So people find your ads if they are actively looking for your product or service. It's a lot different than social, which is disruptive marketing, right? Someone might be considered in market for your segment, which is great, but they're not on the platform looking to solve a problem. As opposed to Google, when they go to the search bar and type in something like chiropractor near me, they're on Google to solve that problem. So I think Google is a way more powerful platform than social.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things on your website, which I love your website. I also love your brand name, That PPC Guy.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's totally how I think of you since we've been exchanging emails. And obviously, here today, we're getting to chat. But you're right, on your website, the one thing that stood out to me is you write traffic with intent. Can you go a
Yeah.
little bit more into the difference in targeting when you're targeting via intent versus targeting, you already pointed out on social networks, more on interest based? What's the difference there and why does it make intent based targeting so much more effective?
Sure. Well, it's the heart of what that PPC guy is, right? PPC, pay per click. We're literally paying per click. We're paying for traffic, and we want that traffic to be as relevant to your product or service as possible. Because again, we're paying for every little click, so every click is very important. So we bid on keywords, and I'll use an example again as that chiropractor because that's what I said before. But if you're a chiropractor and you want to increase your leads and appointments, there are people actively looking for chiropractor near me, chiropractor Houston, Texas, chiropractor in your zip code, local chiropractor open on Saturdays. Those are all search queries. And we can actually look at and research and find out the search volume for all those different search queries. We're going to bid directly on those as keywords and earn that traffic and take them to your website. So that's the intent that I'm talking about. Someone is trying to solve a problem. They went to Google either on their desktop or on their cell phone, and they're actively researching a problem to solve, right? We hope that they're trying to solve that problem today, and we can get really specific with our search keywords to try to hone in on that. Sometimes they're a little bit more broad and the people are just doing research, which is fine. There's still intent based on that search. And Google does allow for disruptive and non-intent marketing on the display network and on YouTube. That's where you can really get your brand name in front of cold traffic as well. So I think Google Ads is a really great competitor. Of course, I'm biased to social because we can do disruptive marketing and cold traffic marketing on Google as well. But it's really powerful when you can use the intent of the user trying to solve a problem. They're looking for something that you sell or you offer. Put your ad in front, get your website in front of them as they're trying to solve that problem.
Yeah, and just to paint the contrast for listeners, the flip side of this is on social media, interest based targeting. Let's say you sell cell phone cases, for example. You're hoping that when people see your ad as they're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, that they are also interested in buying a cell phone case. Whereas on Google, as Justin pointed out to you, you can show up in the exact moment that they have the intent to get a cell phone case. So I love that you use specific keyword examples, chiropractor near me, chiropractor, and then my zip code. Justin, it almost sounds too easy. And this is why I, as someone who's been in the game for a long time, I love talking to PPC guys like you because you know how to set up these winning campaigns. Spell it out for business owners, entrepreneurs who are listening to us today and they're thinking, so Justin, I just enter some keywords that people are searching and then I come up? How does PPC
Yeah.
advertising work?
Yeah, so I audit a lot of Google ad accounts every single week. And every year I probably audit over 100 accounts. These are pre-existing Google ad accounts. Google sells the service to business owners as something that is truly simple to do. You sign up, you pick some keywords, you attach your credit card, you write some ad copy, and off you go. Unfortunately, there are a lot more items on your checklist to have a fully optimized campaign that you need to consider because Google will gladly take your money. They love it when you attach your credit card and pick some keywords. There's a big joke in the industry that when you get a call from a Google rep, the first observation they're going to make is, "Would you be willing to spend more money?" Which is kind of funny because, of course, they want to just earn as much as they can. But there's a lot of different nuances to a campaign. It really is based on your business and what your goals are. But there's something called a negative keyword list that's going to block irrelevant traffic. You have to write quality ad copy that is consistent with what they're searching for and the problem that they're trying to solve. I like to build custom audiences inside Google Ads as well. We can also utilize your Google Analytics to build custom audiences. These are people who might have visited your website or made a purchase or maybe not made a purchase. And we can build lookalike audiences and incorporate that into your Google ad campaign. There's also in market segments that we can make bid adjustments for. So there are segments just like there are on social where we can say this people are in market for a new car or for healthcare, and we can make a bid adjustment and bid more and try to shuffle more traffic to that audience. And I think the most important thing I'll point out is that it has to be actively managed. When I audit a campaign, I usually go to the change history in the account to see when the last time someone came in and looked at ad copy, looked at keywords, look at the bid strategy, look at the conversion settings, look at the location settings, look at the device settings. And typically they were set up and then forgotten about. And that's kind of how Google sells that service. Like, hey, come bid on these keywords, give us your credit card, we'll take it from there. And it really requires active management. We're going in, we're reviewing things on a weekly basis, we're making adjustments, we're split testing, and we're trying to optimize our account to get the most out of it every single time.
Yeah, you talk about bidding, you talk about giving Google our credit cards. The obvious question, I'm sure you hear this all the time, Justin. You already know where I'm going with it. How much does this cost? I always hear business owners say, I can't afford to be advertising. But a lot of the good ones like you who bring people positive ROI, my perspective on that is you can't afford not to be advertising. Talk to us
Yeah.
about costs and ROI and how does that work in a successful PPC environment?
Sure. So I face that question a lot, like, hey, what should my budget be? Or, a common reluctance from business owners who haven't run Google Ads before is, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I can afford it. And to that, I always say, well, we're going to build a machine and you're going to put a dollar in, and we hope to get $1.50 or $2 or $3 out. You can't afford to put a dollar in and get $2 out. All right. You have to trust Google. You have to have a well optimized campaign. But that's what we're doing. We're trying to build a machine that has a positive ROI on it, so that the ad spend is not something that you should be worried about. I have clients that spend as little as $1,000 a month, and I have clients who spend $50,000 a month. So depending on what your goals are and what type of business you're in and the location that you're advertised, whether it's local or national, there's all sorts of things that can help dictate and control what you spend and how much you spend. And remember, we're paying per click. So we can set goals and say we want to generate X amount of traffic. On average, across all industries in the United States, the average cost per click for a search campaign is around $2.50. And on the high end of the spectrum, you've got lawyers and insurance that can spend upwards of $100 a click. And on the other end, you've got some local service businesses that can see a dollar or less per click. So it really is industry dependent, but I always like to set the benchmark of around 250 for everybody. But then I like to shift the conversation though, because while looking at your cost per click early on in a campaign, especially if you just launched it, is important. What is more important is the amount of conversions you're creating and the cost per conversion. And I always tell a business owner, if I can lower your cost per conversion and increase conversions, would you care if I quadrupled your cost per click? And the answer is no, they don't care about the cost per click if I can improve conversion. So early on, the cost per click is definitely an important metric. We want to benchmark it. We want to know what success looks like in the industry. But as our campaign goes along, we're not going to care as much about our cost per click, and we're going to start caring a lot about our cost per conversion.
Justin, you said the C word already here today, and it's my favorite word when we talk about marketing, which is conversions. What in your world, and I know you've seen so many different mistakes that business owners make when it comes to PPC advertising, and we're definitely going to go deeper into those. But I do
Yeah.
specifically want to talk about conversions because a lot of people think, let me just send them to my website. What does a successful conversion look like, and how can we actually maximize those conversions?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's somewhat dependent on the business. Again, for e-commerce, a conversion is going to be a sale. Okay. We do care about things like phone calls and maybe form submission or a newsletter sign up. But at the end of the day, the sale is the most important. It is the primary conversion. For a lot of other businesses, a phone call or a form submission, a lead, that might be the most valuable things to track as conversions. And you absolutely, before you press go on a Google ad campaign, have to make sure that that conversion is set up properly. The best way to do it, the way I like to do it and recommend people do it, is set up your goal tracking in Google Analytics. Okay. And then once you do that, you can actually import those goals directly to Google Ads with the click of a button. So it's really nice. It's very convenient, but you absolutely have to have those goals set up. The most common error I see is tracking maybe specific page views, especially with e-commerce. We might have a certain page view, a product page view that's really important to set up as a conversion. When you use a conversion based bid strategy in shopping and you don't have a purchase or sale as the primary conversion and you've got all these other miscellaneous conversions, you're not going to have a lot of success. And that's the number one thing I gravitate when I audit an e-commerce brand. I go directly to measurement. I look at conversions and I see what we're actually counting as a conversion. And more often than not, the business owner that's complaining about lack of conversions or lack of sales in this case is tracking too many miscellaneous things as conversions and not just a sale. So we always want to identify the primary conversion point depending on the business. We're going to hone in on that and make sure Google understands that that is our primary goal. It's okay to track other things as conversions. There's ways that we can prioritize those goals inside Google Ads, but we absolutely have to make sure that Google's algorithm understands what our primary focus is for that campaign, for what that traffic we're paying for is.
Yeah, Justin, you're already getting me personally excited about Google Ads, and it makes me question the fact, why am I not always, just even in the background in my less busier seasons, why am I not running Google Ads? Because it does, that intent-based targeting seems really fitting to me because I only show up when people are actively searching for what it is that I sell, which leads me to the next question. Because if I'm here saying, why are we not all running this? The one question that I'm sure you also hear all the time is, or maybe complaint that you hear people say, I hear it from the entrepreneur to entrepreneur audiences. Oh, well, that didn't work for me. Facebook ads didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Google ads didn't work for me. Is there such thing as types of businesses or businesses where it just doesn't work for them?
There are, and I think the easiest business that I can identify that is going to be unsuccessful with Google Ads has nothing to do with the type of business it is, and has everything to do with the website, quality of the website, the UX of the website. Google Ads generates traffic. In this case, we're talking about traffic with intent, highly relevant traffic. All right. So as an agency, we're going to deliver that traffic to your website. But what that traffic does once we drop it off on your website is completely dependent on the UX, right? Do you have clear call to action? Does it load quickly? Is it easy to navigate? Does it solve the problem they set out to solve when they first went to Google, right? So I usually, for new business, I usually look at their website. I'm very critical of the way it's set up. I measure the load time of the website and make sure that I can easily navigate things that are important. Make sure there's clear call to actions. These are all things that will dictate a successful Google ad campaign.
Yeah, I love that perspective because you're right. It really does start at the root, and it's something that's so often overlooked. It's funny how often your website comes up as a key component of all the different things we talk about here on this podcast because people get on your website, but then they don't find what they're looking for. It's not clearly communicated. They don't know what to do next. Then you're setting yourself up for failure, and no ad campaign in the world can rescue you from that. Justin, you
Yeah.
talked about so many different aspects of paid advertising. One of the ones that you brought up is custom audiences. You already kind of teased the retargeting word. I want you to talk about that because, from my perspective, in all the different businesses that I'm involved in, it seems like that's some low hanging fruit that most businesses leave that money, leave those potential customers on the table. Can you go deeper into that for us?
Yeah, definitely. Retargeting is really an important part of any business's marketing plan because if you're generating a lot of traffic to your website, and I encourage every business owner to spend some time in their Google Analytics account to see what types of traffic they're getting and what that traffic is doing, because Google Analytics is going to show you everything from your social, your direct, your organic, your paid, and it's going to paint a really good picture of how much traffic you're getting. So retargeting those people that are already familiar with your name, your brand, your service can be extremely beneficial. We all know, especially in the digital world, that we have shortened attention spans. I think I read last earlier this summer that it was like 8 seconds now, and that's what TikTok was trying to exploit. This is extremely small attention span that we've adapted in the world of social media. So we have to remember, we have to constantly make sure that our brand and our name is being recognized. You can build custom audience inside analytics. Again, these are audiences that are based on the time frame. Maybe it's the last 30, 45, 60 days. Maybe it's people who bought something. Maybe it's people who did not buy something, people who looked at a specific page, specific product, or a specific service. We can reserve them an ad on the display network or on YouTube as well. So as they're visiting different websites like ESPN or weather.com, you see those banner ads on top and along the side. Those are run off the Google display and network, and they really work well at retargeting and saying, hey, you've been to my website. You remember my name. Come back when you're ready. Those ads have a significantly lower cost per click. With retargeting, we often see cost per click below 25 cents. So it's extremely affordable as well.
Yeah, very sexy because we've all seen it in action is that we look at that pair of shoes on Amazon, then all of a sudden that pair of shoes follows us all over the internet. And Justin,
Yes.
you're telling us we can do that inexpensively, that that is the
Yes.
least expensive
Yeah.
form of advertising. Why shouldn't
Correct.
everybody be retargeting?
Well, I don't, first of all, I think a lot of people get caught up on this idea that you have to, there's a few more added steps with retargeting, right? You have to build that audience. You have to put some thought into what that audience is. You have to incorporate it into your Google ad account. Maybe you have to have some artwork created. If you're an e-commerce business, you're going to want to attach your Google Merchant Center so you can create a dynamic ad feed. That's that example you brought up of the shoes. That's used through dynamic ads. So we want to pull the image of the product you actually looked at and serve that product to you as long as it's in stock. But Google actually has some really great tools for business owners that they don't have to create as many assets as maybe they think that they have. They've really lowered the bar to lower the entry point to get into display ads. One of the tools we can use inside Google Ads, we can actually scan your website, we can scan your Twitter account and your Facebook account and pull images. And Google's only going to pull the images that they can actually serve as ads. Okay. So they're not going to be able to pull everything. They're going to scan these platforms and say, here's the images that we can use, attach them to your retargeting ads. So you actually don't have to have custom artwork anymore, which is something they launched a couple years ago. They're responsive display ads and they perform extremely well.
Yeah, Justin, all of these things, it almost makes it seem like to me, someone who has the great pleasure of talking to you about all these things, that it seems like you in your head have this catalog of or a playbook essentially of plays available to business owners. We've talked about using keyword targeting on Google. We've talked about the display network, retargeting. We've talked about YouTube ads. What is the formula when you sit down and you look at a business and you put together kind of their marketing playbook? How do you take all of these different things available to you and say, this is a winning formula to ultimately get you more customers
Yes.
and clients?
Yeah. Well, Brian, I'm glad you asked. And I'm sure we've got maybe 2 or 3 hours to discuss the playbook. Because it's really different for every business. And that's really, I think, something unique about my agency is why we do like processes and SOPs. We really sit down with every business and try to create a custom plan every single time. Because even if the businesses are similar, they're in the same industry, maybe even in the same market, they still might have completely different goals. So we want to look at the business, we want to talk to the business owner, understand what is the goal of this paid traffic, right? Is it brand awareness? Is it additional sales? Is it just increased traffic to your service page for brand awareness? So we want to identify what the goal is and then look at Google and say, okay, of the tools we have available and considering your budget to start, what's the best way that we can get that goal accomplished every 30 days, right? Every 30 days, we know we want to have X amount of leads, X amount of sales, X amount of clicks, X amount of impressions sharing your ads, right? So we sit down and I'm very creative and we're a big picture. So I like to look at all of their other marketing. I want to know what the other marketing channels the business owner's doing. So even though we don't run social ads, I want to know about what they're running on Facebook and Instagram. I want to know if they're doing email blast. I want to know if they're doing direct mailers or radio ads. And so I want to fit my pay-per-click ads in with the rest of their marketing as well. So my playbook starts with a blank slate is really the short answer. It's a conversation with the business owner saying, hey, you came to me with a problem that I want to solve. Talk to me about your business, talk about your current marketing, and let me get creative and find a solution.
Yeah, Justin, I love that you laugh at that question that I asked you because it is something that I really admire about the way that you operate, which is you're right. It kind of is that the strategy comes from being analytical, analyzing the entire, you said it right in the intro when I asked you that loaded question of the 30,000-foot view. And I want to fill in those gaps and really that 30,000-foot map for a lot of the entrepreneur to entrepreneur audience is made up of solopreneurs. And when they
Yep.
hear you talk about, business owners need to look at their existing leads and what they're posting on different mediums and channels, some solopreneurs might be thinking, Justin, this stuff sounds brilliant, but I'm just me. I don't have all of these things available to me. Can you talk to us about some of the success stories that you've seen? You've managed a lot of ad dollars. Talk to us about some of those like online success stories or solopreneur success stories. Show people that there really is no time that's too soon to start this because it's just targeted eyeballs.
Man, I'm telling you, I over the 13 years I've done this, I've worked with some businesses that's it kind of funny in a way because you're reluctant when they first reach out to you. Like, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of success here considering the industry or the niche. But I'm telling you, if you're in business doing something, there's a market for it out there. And it's all my clients that I have worked with and currently work with, everything from selling guinea pig cages and saunas and clothing, to doomsday prepping services. and, power washing. There's a lot of solopreneurs out there that have carved a niche in this country and are doing very well. And I would encourage any solopreneur to go use a tool like SEM Rush, do some keyword research, just type in the products or services that you are offering or interested in offering. And another one is Google Trends. Do some research on what people are searching for related to your business. And I think that most solopreneurs would genuinely be surprised to see that nationally there's actually a lot of volume for what they're offering. Just because you're a solopreneur doesn't mean that you're limited here. If you've got a website, you've got something that it can interest people. So do some keyword research. You might surprise yourself at the volume. But I'm telling you, I've seen some really interesting niches be extremely successful with Google Ads.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it is that you're not throwing an ad out there hoping that you're getting in front of the right person like you may be on Facebook ads. You are choosing people who are actively searching for what you do. And that's why I love, again, coming back to your website. Everyone should go to thatppcguy.com, which we're obviously going to talk about your website at the end of this session. But I'm a big fan of your work for a lot of different reasons. And it really is that intent based approach to it that you always spell out for business owners that I love. One other thing you mentioned on your website, and obviously a lot of advertising comes back to money. It's about
Yeah,
spending money to make more money. And I love the analogy you used of the machine, put a dollar in, get $2 out. Justin, I don't know about you, but I'd stand in front of that machine all day, every day. And the question would become, how much money can I put into it? Because I just
sure.
want to keep doing it. So, one of the things you talk about on your website is avoid wasted ad
Yeah.
spend on your pay per click ads.
Yeah.
How do you see so many business owners wasting their money on
Oh,
ads?
it is. So I mentioned, I think during an audit, one of the first things I go to is I go look at the conversion settings. I think the numbers, the second thing I always go look at is their keywords and the keyword structure. So there's different ways that you can bid on these search queries. You can bid on the exact match of the keyword, which means you will only pay to have your ad served if someone types in chiropractor near me, and that's it. There's also phrase match in parentheses. Again, chiropractor near me. That gives Google the authority to loosen up the search a little bit. Maybe they typed in chiropractic office close by, right? So it's similar to the first query that we're bidding on. Most people use broad match. So chiropractor near me, broad match. And that allows Google to have full authority just to serve anything that they think is even remotely close. So it could be people looking for DIY or videos trying to solve the problem themselves. So there's something called the search term report. It's generated typically a few days after you launch your campaign. Depending on your ad spend, it might take a little bit longer, but it's going to show us exactly what people typed into the Google search bar that triggered your ad. So when I audit an existing account, that's the second place I go to is your search term report. I want to see exactly what triggered your ad. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, I find significant irrelevant traffic. And usually what I do during my audit is I'll add up what they spent on those irrelevant clicks. I said, you spent X amount of dollars on these clicks. They were completely irrelevant. There were people looking at videos and DIY. The last one I looked at was a playground manufacturer, and they were bidding on a broad match for a playground set. It turns out that most of their traffic, over 50%, they had spent thousands of dollars on this search query that was actually a kid's YouTube channel with the word playground in it. So we want to take all those irrelevant searches. We want to expand what's called your negative keyword list. Those are keywords that will not trigger your ad. So maybe they're related to your industry, but we don't want them to trigger your ad. It's a negative keyword list. We can have irrelevant ad copy and also our descriptions for our ads and add something called ad assets. So we look at everything. We try to make every piece of your Google ad campaign extremely relevant, and we literally remove anything that is not relevant. So wasted ad spend usually occurs from irrelevant clicks. People are bidding on way too many keywords. Google has a recommendation tab. And when you first build an account, if you don't go change a setting, you're going to have auto recommendations turned on. They will literally go dump 200, 300. I've seen 700 keywords dumped into a campaign before, and all of it was irrelevant. All 200 keywords were irrelevant. So my recommendation, as I usually tell a business owner, depending on the product or service, you want to segment your campaigns or ad groups and have no more than 5 to 10 keywords per ad group. Sometimes even less. Sometimes we'll use 2 or 3. So we want to limit the wasted ad spend. We only want the most relevant clicks to your website that we can get.
Woof, Justin, you are getting me excited to do Google Ads the right way, which I think is such a clear distinction there of doing it the right way because you are making it seem so strategic and intentional. Whereas I think that's the thing that's lacking when so many of us try to do it for ourselves is we lack that
Yeah.
intention because we don't have that experience. And the thing that gets me excited about Google Ads as a platform is that you've already talked about Google's search ads, where when people search for you, you've already talked about their display network. I can have my banner ads seen on New York Times, on ESPN, on all these other websites showing Google display ads. And you also talked about one of my favorite platforms in the world, which is YouTube. So we can also run YouTube ads. Can you talk to us a bit about that? Because I know it's emerging as more and more people are running away from Facebook ads for all sorts of changes that have happened. YouTube is presenting itself as a playground and also with slightly higher barriers to entry. I, as someone who loves video, loves technology, I've always known that video is my unfair advantage when it comes to marketing, which makes YouTube very appealing for me.
Yeah, and YouTube is the second largest search engine other than Google. I did hear that recently that TikTok, I think, was encroaching on that. But people are on YouTube all the time. It's got great targeting because not only do you have the same targeting that you do on the search network, but then you can also add an element for people watching certain types of videos, specific videos or specific channels as well. So you can really hone in on very, very specific people watching specific content on YouTube. And yes, I think one of the big barriers to entry is actually having the video assets. But I always tell people you actually don't have to have a well edited and crafted and polished video. Oftentimes, a video shot with your iPhone talking directly to your ideal client, a raw video directly speaking to them can perform really, really well. There's also some really great tools out there to create videos. And inside Google Ads, again, we have some tools where we can take some of those images and actually create sort of a slideshow that can be put on YouTube as well. And then you can also have display ads on YouTube. You've probably seen those. Those are also just pop-up ads that appear on top of a video that you have to X out of. So it's not actually a video ad, but you're still on YouTube and still have access to all that audience targeting available on the platform.
Justin, we're already 30 minutes into this session, and I'm just imagining what my listeners are thinking listening to this. I think they can genuinely tell that you freaking love PPC advertising, and they're probably thinking to themselves, hearing all of this, yeah, this is a viable traffic strategy. I am missing out on targeted traffic to my business if I'm not playing here, which brings me to the inevitable question of Justin, if I wanted to get started, where the heck do small business owners, entrepreneurs, even entrepreneurs, where should they even start?
Yeah, I think that, like I said earlier, I think a great place to start is to do some keyword research, right? SEM Rush and Google Trends are two great places that you can go and research search volume on products and services related to your business. Just get an idea of the traffic volume that's out there. You can create a Google ad account for free using a Gmail account. And inside there, under tools and settings, there's a keyword planning tool, very similar to what you might find on SEM Rush. And it's again, you're going to type in some search ideas, and it's going to give you the monthly search volume, and you can target by location, by city, state, or country. So just get an idea of what's out there from a traffic volume. Take a look at your Google Analytics account. Take a look at your traffic. How much traffic are you getting today, and what do you think you have to get to be successful? Right? How are people performing on your website? Where are they going? Where are they not going? Right? You can use paid traffic to send people where you want them to go. So, and of course, if you're interested in hiring someone, you can reach out to that PPC guy. But I always encourage people to do some research, look at the volume, find out how much interest there is in your product and service in your market first.
Yeah, very good advice, especially because of exactly what Justin said. It is totally free to create a Google Ads account. It is totally free to start using the tools that Google gives advertisers in order to have that research, in order to put together an intentional and strategic plan. Why? Because ultimately, Google wants you to succeed with their advertising. Because if you start advertising and it works, you're going to keep on advertising. So, Justin, I loved your brand even before we got on here today. That PPC guy. Now I know that PPC guy. You could talk about PPC all day long, every single day for probably years. So you've definitely been a wealth of knowledge. Obviously, I've plugged thatppcguy.com, but I want you to share with listeners what the heck they should do, where they should go if they want to learn more about you and the way that you work with businesses. And actually, before you do those plugs, I would actually like to hear what is the process, because I know that on your website you do offer connect with that PPC guy. They'll get on the phone with you. What's your process look like from there so that people listening to this saying, I want to investigate this, what can they expect?
Yeah, I love to have discovery calls and have a video chat like this and talk to the business owner. It's very informal. It's just a discussion about what is it you do, what are your goals, and what are you currently doing to meet those goals. Let's connect and talk about it. I probably have some experience in your industry that I can share and say, hey, you know what? I've worked with someone similar and this is what we did. Or I understand why that's not working because I've done it before and this is what we did to fix it. So it's called a discovery call. It's very informal. It's just an opportunity for us both to feel each other out and get to know each other. Maybe learn a little bit from my experience in your industry and hear some stories that I can share, some more stories. It might save you some bucks down the line. If you're currently running a Google Ads campaign, I do audits for free. So we'll take a look at your campaign together and just kind of go through some of the things that I mentioned here and try to find out why it's not performing well. If you haven't run Google Ads before, we'll talk about what that looks like. But again, it all starts with just a discovery call, quick 15 minutes or 30 minutes on a video chat just to get to know each other. And for me to have the opportunity to learn as much as I can about your business.
Heck yeah. And you all heard it from Justin himself. If you're watching the video, you can see that when this guy talks about PPC advertising for businesses, he always has a smile on his face. And Justin, I think that's why I so deeply resonate and admire your work, is because we genuinely enjoy the things that we do. And I so appreciate you bringing your energy and your knowledge here with listeners here today. So I'd love to open the floor for you. Let them know where they should go to take you up on that free discovery call and also to follow you in general.
Yeah. So my website is thatppcguy.com and you can book a discovery call. My phone number's on there too. So feel free just to pick up the phone and call me. But a discovery call is definitely the best thing to do. And again, that's on the homepage of my website, thatppcguy.com. You can also look up my profile on clutch.com, which is a great resource for agencies. And also on LinkedIn, you can look for that PPC guy.
All right. And you guys do not have to remember that link. It is down below wherever it is that you're tuning into today's episode. So just look below this episode, find that ppcguy.com, that ppcguy.com. Otherwise, Justin, thanks so much for coming on the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast.
Brian, thank you. I had a blast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you.